Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today, we're going to go and do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. We'll take a look at the dollar, the 10-year, 30-year yields, and walk our way through precious metals and other commodities that I follow. It's looking pretty good across the board. We'll hit some key points here that I see in the charts, and we'll dive right into it and give you my financial opinion. So here we go. We've got the DXY, the relative strength indicator of the dollar. At least that's what I refer to it. We are seeing stronger selling pressure here. Much stronger selling pressure on this down move than this up one here. So to me, looking at the red armies, what I call it, we're getting some selling pressure in the dollar. We are still above the support level. If we were to look back at a bigger picture view, we still have support underneath us. So what we're doing, there's our resistance support line going across there. We're pausing here and we're looking for a turn. Are we going to turn into that support line and head higher, or are we going to turn and break through it and come back down? Two very different outcomes and headwinds and tailwinds for investments. If we head higher, it's obviously a headwind for anything that's priced in dollars. And if this goes lower, it's a tailwind. So that's why it's important. That's what we're looking for, is that tailwind where this rolls back over. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to roll over for things to do well. It's just a further tailwind behind us if it does. And we're seeing a little bit of that tailwind occurring right now, as we were down 0.91% today. We saw the markets bounce today. Looking at the 10-year yield, the 10-year yield's reversing here quite hard, at least today. I'm not calling for a total reversal, but large momentum up. We've got a reversal day today. And the one thing I want you to, that sticks out to me when looking at this data, the 10-year yield's down 0.35%, and the long end of the curve, TYX, which we're going to go through right here, is up 2%. So what this is the curve normalizing here. It's the long end coming up and the short end coming down. I want to say that this is important because gold and silver and a lot of the precious metals love this type of scenario when TYX outperforms TNX. And I'll show you that right after this. And bond prices, we're looking at yields there. Bond prices are down, at least the 20-year bond price, TLT. TLT is down 1.8%. This thing has been, it basically looks like someone dropped it off a cliff here, and it's been a rock just dropping. So bond prices have pulled back substantially. That's something that I think we called pretty right on the channel here. One of the things with the yields going up and the 30-year yield going up and the 10-year yield remaining basically flat today, what that does is it puts that curve, it's normalizing. And whenever we see a curve that's normalizing, precious metals usually do very well, at least when I've tracked it in history. So when I look at this, and I don't know if there's any book or anything that has this, I guess found it myself. When you look between these lines here, between the blue, white, and blue line, so as this goes up, gold and silver do very well in those types of scenarios, generally speaking, when you have this upward movement. The upward movement signals or signifies a curve that is normalizing. As the curve inverts, where the TNX outperforms TYX when it goes down, what I've seen is very strong inflationary pressures. So what we're looking for here in the short term is TYX outperformed TNX, which is the 30-year was going up at a faster rate than the 10-year. And we're starting to see that bounce to the upside. That is usually when precious metals do very well. And what we see today, we're seeing precious metals and commodities do well today. Commodities up just slightly for the CRB index priced in dollars. It's still at kind of a support area, but gold getting a good little kick in the pants today, $27 up, up to 1654, putting in that nice bullish engulfing. Like I said before, this is a support zone. Sometimes it comes back and hits it, and then it uses it as support to try to jump off of. We'll see if this momentum continues. We'll see if the curve continues to normalize over time. And again, we still have some work ahead of us. We've got a lot of resistance above us. So it's not going to be, let me zoom in a little bit different here. It's not going to be easy. It's still going to need some work to get through everything, but it's putting in, at least on a weekly basis, nice, good candlesticks, wicks at the bottom. But there's our downtrend line. There's another trend line going across, and they're all above us. Silver doing quite well, up 3.4%. Looking at silver here, we're bouncing off a support level. 1815 is that support level that we're bouncing off of. And we're getting a nice good bounce off this. It finished strong, it looks strong, and hopefully the right market conditions continue to exist for this move to go higher. Platinum also looking very strong here. You can see the lows are not pulling back as far. That looks really strong for a breakout move. And we're starting to break out of the bigger picture view here. Let me back out a little bit different viewpoint. And hopefully this is the beginning of a very big run. On a weekly candlestick basis, bullish engulfing, it looks like it's ready to roll here. So if those market conditions, the TYX, TNX, that's what we should be looking at, perform the way we want them to perform, gold, silver, and platinum do very well under those market conditions. But everything looks in alignment, as far as I can tell, for that to happen. XAU to gold ratio, the gold, silver mining companies in relationship to gold, we're seeing a very good outperformance here, up 3.38%. We've been moving sideways. We still need to break out of this trend line or resistance line that's right above us. If that is the case, and if those conditions exist with we'll say the normalization of the curve, we could see this take a run at it and try to break higher. If that occurs, we could see a big move in the gold and silver mining companies if that were to happen. We're still working on it down here. We still have a lot of work ahead of us for that to happen. So SILJ, looking at some of these ETFs just to show you guys what the charts look like there. SILJ's got a nice good support line. We were using that support line, and we're starting to bounce off of it today, finishing strong, looking strong. So that's good. GDX also finishing quite strong, up 5%. And we're still in between the support resistance level. So there's still work ahead of us, but we're starting to see signs of a broken downtrend, the flattening of that trend, and then eventually it'll work its way higher. That's how the markets usually turn. Scrolling down to crude oil, a little bit up today, up 0.73%. Man, difficult read here on which direction this is necessarily going to go. We've got larger selling pressure days through here. The bounce isn't convincing where we're just going to rocket higher. We could roll over and get kind of another move down to maybe $82 or so. But that's what I see there. We do have the broken downtrend line, so that's good. The question is, are we going to bottom here? Or are we going to get a little bit lower before moving higher? If I were to take, all this is probabilities, statistical probabilities. If I were to take a guess here, this is going to bounce back down before heading higher. Looking at natural gas, we're still heading lower in natural gas. We still need to pierce this 480 mark. We're getting real close here. I think that we're going to see some good support right where we're at. We've got support all through this area here. So I think that we're going to come into the support area between 450 and 480. So I like natural gas where it's coming to. We're in the between heating season, cooling season, so that is something that we need to take into account. The demand is a little bit lower. Inventories will come up. And we'll see what this winter has in store for us as this bottoms out here over the next month. XOP, if you notice, stronger today, 2.24%. We take a big picture view of this. We've got strong resistance at 175. We have good support at 106. We're right in between them. And we're getting a little bit of buying pressure If you notice, crude oil was not up a ton today. It was up a little bit. Natural gas was a good amount lower, a fair amount lower. And people are still positioning in oil and natural gas stocks. So I see this as a high positive. People are positioning in the exploration production companies before the move happens. So I think it looks excellent. We're also seeing that in the energy service companies. We're getting a breakout here. This is one of the areas that we were talking about on the Platinum membership midweek update. We were also talking about it some weeks ago when it was down here. And a lot of those companies have really moved off this bottom, some up over 100%, depending on which ones you're looking at. And we're moving here. Let me put on logarithmic, and we're breaking out. And if we can finish this month strong, I think it looks really good for a potential move to the upside, given where these resistance lines are at. So I think energy service companies look excellent. Coming down and looking at uranium. Uranium futures pricing, UX, looking fantastic, finishing strong. I think this is 1 day delayed. But looking at this and where the resistances are, kind of on a big picture view, we'll back out here. We have some resistance here. We had a little bit of a pause above that resistance and a pullback, and now we're starting to move on up again. This could get rolling here very quickly. We could be breaking here at any second for a much higher move, and potentially this could be the beginning of the uranium squeeze. Again, statistics, looking at the charts, it's all probabilities. Doesn't mean that it will happen, but it's looking very good from a candlestick perspective on all of these different time frames. It's getting a lot of good momentum. The Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is also getting some momentum here, up 2.71%. We've got that resistance line that we want to break above and hold. That line is around $18.75, $19. We break through this and hold above it. I think we're going to get a bigger move over time, a much bigger move. So that's our resistance level that we're trying to break, and we're right underneath it. So that's very encouraging and positive. When we look at URNM, again, good, solid finish here, 3.91%. We are breaking this little downtrend line, and we're getting some good buying pressure. That is a bullish engulfing. That usually means we got some good buying momentum behind us. I think we are good to get a little bit of a run here. Again, your eyes should be looking at the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, and if we break through that resistance level, if we break through and start to run, I think URNM, everything else will follow suit. So that's looking really good. CCJ, I know we follow this here. We got that huge sell-off. I mean, we're up today, but that's got a little bit more work with that release of dilution and share, the money that they raised in that big down day. But I think uranium looks really good. I like it a lot. Any way you look at it from a ratio perspective, it looks really good. Scrolling through TAN. TAN also higher, 1.81%. We're getting that bullish engulfing. The one thing I want to point out here is we've got a bullish piercing. We pulled back with a lot of small down days into a bullish engulfing. I think this could potentially go higher. The overall markets look good. If we see a weaker dollar, if we see the 10-year yield kind of calm down here, we see that curve kind of normalize a little bit, I think we could see a nice good move out of TAN. I'm not really playing this one myself. It very well could still hit that, do a full retest. It very well could. But overall, big picture view, this looks very good in terms of symmetry of both sides, cut it in half, and the move up doesn't have much resistance ahead of it. It may take a little bit more time for that to transpire, though. COPX, looking fantastic, up 4.3%. The overall markets are starting to get a little bit of breath. It's breathing a little bit. It's starting to move to the positive side. But we've got some really good developments here in copper. We've got the bullish engulfing. We've got another big candlestick today. It does look like to me that we're getting our feet down here, getting it under us, and we're starting to drive higher. So that looks good. CRB to S&P 500, it is down. Obviously, this is highly tied to oil. I would say oil right now is between driving seasons and heating seasons. Same with natural gas. So we're seeing the overall markets firm up. We're seeing the curve kind of normalize a little bit. We're seeing a weaker dollar, and stocks are starting to respond. So we obviously could pull back here for a little bit, rest with the CRB, and let the S&P 500 run a little bit. Doesn't mean that the commodities can't run, but the S&P 500 could run here. And we'll take a look at that here shortly. Rare earth metals, REMX, the ETF, up 5.43%. It is putting in a big fat bullish engulfing, using that support line to bounce off of. I'm sure a lot of you know that I like support lines. I use that as some of my buying areas, and that looks really good for a move on higher. Lithium also bouncing 3.2%. That is one that is also looking better. These guys follow the overall markets. There's your bullish piercing. That's your bottoming pattern. Now we're getting the bullish engulfing. We're getting some validation of the move. So it's looking good. We're putting in the big candlesticks. I call it the green army. We're finishing strong. Looks very good. Scrolling down to the S&P 500. The SPX, we got the big bullish engulfing here. We don't have much selling pressure into another bullish engulfing. I do think this wants to go higher. So it looks like the stars are starting to align for a move on up. Looks good. The US composite index is throwing the same signals, bullish engulfing, another bullish engulfing, for a potential move higher. So that also looks really good. Emerging markets, remember emerging markets and the dollar weaker, emerging markets are typically stronger. It's also it looks like almost the same chart as the S&P 500. Bullish engulfing, not much selling pressure. I think this will work its way on up. It doesn't mean that every day will be up. It's just it'll work its way up with this type of pattern. Small down days, big up days, and stair step higher. We're also seeing that same mix in XHB, another bullish engulfing. Does look like it wants to go on up. We've broken our downtrend. We usually get a couple of sideways motions, and now I think it's time for it to work its way on up. Lumber just flat today, but still broken out of its falling wedge to the upside. Still looks fantastic. We've got nickel slightly lower, down 0.3%. This guy, nickel, has been just kind of working its way sideways. We have big up days through here, small down days, eventually to work its way out, and I think we'll slowly track higher. Cocoa futures, down about 1%. This one, I like to show up here. Let me put it on the dailies here. We're slightly down a little bit. This thing's really been just moving sideways for the most part. But it still looks good. We've got nice big buying pressure through here. Not much selling pressure coming back down. I still think it looks good. For cocoa futures, wheat, basically all flat for wheat, soybeans, and corn. So not much movement there. It's a battle between the buyers and the sellers. Soybeans, 0.32%. Again, this one's a difficult to read because we got a strong selling pressure day there. We're getting weak buying pressure coming on up, but it's still grinding higher. Kind of indifferent on this one at this point. For soybeans, corn. Come on, corn. Corn, again, is just grinding sideways. It's also indifferent. I don't see any distinct pattern. If I were to choose a direction, we've got stronger buying pressure, weaker selling pressure. I would say it's still on its way on up. And then copper, it's good to see copper getting a little bit of strength here. We do have, downward, sideways, and then it looks like we're putting in a flag here. And we're starting to break to the upside. So that one does look like it's starting to firm up a little bit. And hopefully we can break to the upside here. And it looks like that's what we're having with that strong buying pressure ending today. So I think that looks a lot better. Moo, which is our VanEck agribusiness. Again, we've got the bullish engulfing. That looks good to go higher. A lot of the companies also putting in some pretty big days, looking good. We've got aluminum heading higher. Again, we're right at that support level. where we've been dancing back and forth, below the line, above the line, all about the line, I should say. I do think it will act as support, and that will bounce to the upside off of this support region. We've been dancing with it for a little while here. We've got some Baltic Dry Index. Baltic Dry Index was, again, flat today, right on support. And I'm seeing a lot of positive developments in across the board in a whole bunch of different things. So in terms of the overall markets, I think they look really good. And we're putting in bullish engulfings. I think that we're on support levels, which will give us a spot to kind of jump off of for a lot of different commodities. I think oil, I think natural gas. Natural gas saw a little bit of work ahead of it, but oil's looking really good. I think we're close. I think that copper's firming up. I think rare earth metals, lithium, all those types are firming up. So I think it looks really good. And if you guys need help figuring out which companies to take a look at, definitely sign up for the Platinum membership at thefinding-value.com. Sign up. We have a question and answer session, 5 p.m. Sunday, Mountain Standard Time. Anyone can participate in it. That is a Platinum member on the website. It's a Zoom call. And if you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I think things are looking really good. Hopefully this is the beginning of a big move in uranium because we've got the momentum behind it. We've broken out of some resistance levels. If sput can break through that resistance level and hold above it, I think things are looking pretty positive. So that's what I've got for today. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.